All right, greetings, family. This is session 5. And, I actually added just a few more slides. Like I said, in the past, I said that I would actually keep perfecting the class. And this is why I created a Telegram group. So you guys could kind of just, once you make one payment, you could actually keep coming back to, anytime there's a new semester, you could revisit the class, see if there's any updates, see if you just want to remind yourself about some of the things we talked about. We went through session 1 to 4, session 4. We covered about closing the loop, containing the sexual seed. And for women, a lot of the sex hormones are loose through menstruation, whereas the man is loose through ejaculation. So one thing I added to this to start off, because when we look in nature and we look at the animal kingdom, and remember, animal deals with animation. It's an animating force. There are certain animals. See, animals are almost a reflection at times to certain biological processes that do exist within us, even ones that lay dormant. There are certain animals that actually will help to awaken certain genetic structures in us when we start to discover them, because every ability an animal has is a dormant ability that exists within you. So here, the scientists actually discovered, scientists have discovered a jellyfish which can live forever. Teratopsis dohrnii, that's what it's called. Teratopsis dohrnii. Hold on, I think someone just came in. All right. Is now officially known as the only immortal creature. The secret to eternal life, as it turns out, is not just living a really, really long time. It's all about maturity, or rather the lack of it. The immortal jellyfish, as it is better known popularly, propagate and then faced with the normal career path of dying, they opt instead to revert to a sexually immature stage. It turns out that once the adult form of the 4.5 millimeter wide species Teratopsis dohrnii have reproduced, they don't die, but transform themselves back into their juvenile polyp state. Their tentacles retract, their bodies shrink, and they sink to the ocean floor and start the cycle all over again. Among laboratory samples, all the adult Teratopsis observed regularly undergo this change. And not just once, they can do it over and over again. Thus, the only way they can die is if they get consumed by another fish or if a disease strikes the jelly. So we can get to here. Now, what's interesting about this jellyfish is that what makes it immortal is that it can actually control its its germ cell, okay? And remember, we talked about how the germ cell is what's immortal inside us. It's what helps any species to propagate and live on the planet, okay? Now, we only know of it as, again, in the sexual basis of it, the animal generation, but there's an asexual production where you could transform your avatar. And this is what we talked about with the solar body, the primordium being dormant inside the body, okay? So here, the Teratopsis typically reproduces the old-fashioned way, by the meeting of free-floating sperm and eggs. And most of the time, they die the old-fashioned way too. But when starvation, physical damage, or other crises arise, instead of sure death, the Teratopsis transforms all of its existing cells into a younger state. Said study, Maria Pia Milleta, a researcher at Pennsylvania State University, like cancer cells, some cells of this jellyfish that were supposed to die are able to switch off some genes and to switch on some other genes, reactivating genetic programs that were used in earliest stages of the life cycle. So here you have an organism floating around the ocean, all right, that knows how to reactivate genetic structures and programs within it when it needs to protect itself, to propagate itself. And here we talk about man, which is again the most pristine creation of God, not being able to do this. Okay, you have to question that. So it's the same, we see that, okay, that there's a jellyfish that could live immortal, okay, through its sex cells, asexually. And it recreates itself, you know, it then brings itself back into that state, into the egg, into the infant stage, grows itself again. Now, we already know about the caterpillar and its transformation. All right. Now, the caterpillar came with a genetic structure or a more higher state within it that lie dormant, okay? So what I'm saying is, just like how humanity has dormant and active cells that can be awakened for self-transformation, the caterpillar also has a primordium, a solar body, but it only awakens it in a meditative state. And that's what the chrysalis or the cocoon represents, okay? Because it stopped eating, it just goes deep into a trance, a meditative state, and allows for the process of transformation. So I got this from an article where it says here, as children, many of us learn about the wondrous process by which a caterpillar morphs into a butterfly. The story usually begins with a very hungry caterpillar hatching from an egg. The caterpillar, or what is more scientifically termed a larva, stuffs itself with leaves, growing plumper and longer through a series of molts in which it sheds its skin. One day, the caterpillar stops eating, hangs upside down from a twig or leaf, and spins itself a silky cocoon or molts into a shiny chrysalis. Within its protective casing, the caterpillar radically transforms its body, eventually emerging as a butterfly or moth. But what does that radical transformation entail? How does a caterpillar rearrange itself into a butterfly? What happens inside a chrysalis or cocoon? First, the caterpillar digests itself, releasing enzymes to dissolve all of its tissues. If you were to cut open a cocoon or chrysalis at just the right time, caterpillar soup would ooze out. But the contents of the pupa are not entirely amorphous mess. Certain highly organized groups of cells, known as imaginal discs, survive the digestive process. Before hatching, when a caterpillar is still developing inside its egg, it grows an imaginal disc for each of the adult body parts it will need as a mature butterfly or moth. Discs for its eyes, for its wings, its legs, and so on. In some species, these imaginal discs remain dormant throughout the caterpillar's life. In other species, the discs begin to take shape of the adult body parts even before the caterpillar forms a chrysalis or a cocoon. Some caterpillars walk around with tiny rudimentary wings tucked inside their bodies, though you would never know it by looking at them. All right? Yeah, I'm recording, Dwayne. Once a caterpillar has disintegrated all of its tissues except for the imaginal disc, those discs use the protein-rich soup all around them to fuel the rapid cell division required to form the wings, antenna, legs, eyes, genitals, and all other features of an adult butterfly or moth. All right? So you see, now, just how they describe the self-transformation process from the caterpillars, what they call a caterpillar's soup or ooze, right? That's, again, that is the germ cell. That is the sexual energy transforming itself. And what we talk about in the occult is the chrysalis of humanity, okay? The ooze of man that he wastes. But not just that. In using meditation with the proper posture and practice sun gazing, planting your feet in the soil with a lot of with different protocols that you enjoy doing, because there's different protocols, and whichever one you enjoy doing, because the thing is you have to enjoy it. Why? Because more than likely if you enjoy it, you will stay consistent with it. All right. Now this transformation was given to us by the gods. And there's this thing called what? Free will, meaning we could actually act outside of that law and make a decision, okay, where we could transgress against it, all right? Whereas an animal, you know, they just got, you know, it's just something, a natural thing that happens within them, all right? But you can see why the progenitors, the beings that fashioned Earth in the animals and human DNA, they use these insects and animals, the abilities in the animation to give us clues, okay, as to what can happen internally. All right, it's like a language placed in the illusion. All right, so here is the true revolution. This is what they mean by the revolution will not be televised. Welcome to session 5. What is meditation? Practices that lead the neophyte to be sustained by the higher forces. All right. What is true meditation? And remember, family, that it is the most, meditation is the most watered down practice in the world. Ain't much people really know what this means. Not much people really know. Okay, it's the meaning is starting to be reawakened now, but we're still working on spreading the knowledge. Okay, what is meditation? The true revolution. All right. Meditation is nothing but a device to make you aware of your real self. Hold on. Okay. Meditation is nothing but a device to make you aware of your real self, which is not created by you, which need not be created by you, which you already are. You are born with it. You are it. It needs to be discovered. If this is not possible, or if the society does not allow it to happen, and no society allows it to happen, because the real self is dangerous. Dangerous for the established church, dangerous for the state, dangerous for the crowd, dangerous for the tradition, because once a man knows his real self, he becomes an individual. He no longer belongs to the mob psychology. He will not be superstitious and cannot be exploited, and he cannot be led like cattle. He cannot be ordered and commanded. He will live according to his light. He will live from his own inwardness. His life will have tremendous beauty, integrity, but this is the fear of society. Look at that. All right. This is why, this is what they're working on. They want to keep the real you as a conspiracy theory in the occult, like it's just some shit that just existed way in the past in ancient Egypt, oh, we were gods in ancient Egypt, or the Anunnaki changed our DNA and we're just slaves now. Notice they put that slave rhetoric in everything, even in the Anunnaki. They say they made you to be slaves. You used to be gods, you ain't gods no more. Okay? Then they put up, especially when it comes to, like, you know, the black movies, every single movie is about you being a damn victim. They just came out with this stupid show called American Son, all right? And it's just to fortify that victim consciousness in you, to induce fear in you. But they're the ones that's fearful, because the day you really realize with your real eye, okay, was that they halted a self-transformation process. And in education, you had the right to know about this path, to know your true potential. And it was up to you if you wanted to walk that path. It still is a narrow path, but you had the right to know about it. Okay? This is your birthright to know about it. Remember what I said in the first class, that the education system that we was brought up in is not education. It's not a school. It's an indoctrination camp for slaves, for people that have been conquered. Okay? So the true revolution, I thought I was learning to live. I was only learning to die. They've installed and plugged you into a death culture to always waste away your ooze, okay? Because if the caterpillar wasted away his ooze, there wouldn't be enough substance for that transformation, all right? They didn't teach us how to gauge into the sun and to bring in that solar energy into your solar plexus and rise it up, okay? They left the most vital parts and principles of life. That's why when you break down the word principle, in its root meaning, it means first and foremost. So the principles taught in this class are supposed to be the first thing you learn while on earth and know about when you have the capacity, when your brain is developed enough to understand. So the true revolution, the real oppressor, is the self-destructive habit untamed. Self-deception is the worst. You are working to tame an internal beast that has no respect for the higher laws and principles of life. The beast is you, but it is you drunken on pleasures. It is the you that has been altered. Hence, put on the altar. You are the one sacrificed on the cross. Addiction is the culprit. Addiction circumvents intelligence. Addiction and emotional traumas write the genetics for the human avatar and not the light of intelligence. This is where meditation and chi cultivation comes in, allowing for the cosmic forces and higher degrees of thought to upgrade the genetics. This is the true revolution. The revolution will not be televised, okay? Because the only real revolution happens inside of you, and then you share it with the world. All right? This is a good friend of mine, Chris M. Manley, heavy into, he's more in the breatharian phase, okay? Urine therapy was a big help, but this was a pretty good quote he put online. And he said that food is nothing but entertainment. What many are coming to find out is that they literally do not need food. In fact, feel much better without it. And to be blunt, it is what kills you, slower and faster depending on your drug, food of choice. Food is the drug we have been born into, the hardest to break because it's not like heroin where everyone is trying to help you get off the drug, but it is more like you are starving yourself from everyone, including loved ones, who generally think that you are harming yourself thanks to the lies from every direction about nutrition. Plus, there are so many emotions tied to food, memories, usually the happier ones. What really nourishes us? It's energy. Your cells are energy. And food steals that energy, digestion. Food disguised as fuel, which it is not. Food is not energy, but requires energy to be broken down. Loads of energy, and all the while the body stays distracted by processing food. Your cells are dying off and not being replaced fast enough because your system is busy. Remove food and the cells 24/7 are being replaced. So you are literally constantly being rebuilt, foundation first. If you can break the addiction to food, you will conquer any other addiction. In fact, addictions will be a thing of the past. I speak from experience. I know what it is like to go months with almost no food, to have not been hungry since May of 2016 to the present. Yes, I have eaten since, but very little, and only when I have wanted to, not out of hunger, which does not exist for me anymore. And a week plus with no food or water, many times now since last June, which is the ultimate state to be in, and the feeling, clarity, spirit connectedness, energy, glow of your skin tightening, and youthful changes are just priceless, truly. For those who have tried or not, urine therapy was instrumental in getting me to where I am now. It was a bridge and showed me that I literally did not need food. Only strong will is going to buy health for you in whatever form or mode of getting there. No supplement, special products, or kits. All right. And he says here, all pics and video within the last year deep into my experiment. There are more to come. All right. So you see, he brought up urine therapy. And remember, urine is just a derivative of the blood. Okay. At that moment, any excess minerals, excess hormones, antibodies, stem cells, I could go on and on, all right, are in your urine at that moment. It is a direct replica of the filtered part of your blood, all right? So urine is cleaner than your blood. So anyone, I'm going to say this, when you listen to this recording, do not ask me again if do I need to, my diet's pretty bad. Should I go on a cleanse first? The urine that in you can start the cleaning already. It don't fucking matter if you eat lobster or shrimp or steak. None of that shit matters because it's already been filtered by the blood. If urine is toxic, then that means the unfiltered part of the blood that going through your body is even in a much worse condition. The only way for urine to be truly toxic is if you're on your fucking deathbed. All right? So it's the filtered part. And again, it's the elements in there that helps with the repair and helps with keeping the intestinal tract clean. All right? So anyone out there telling you, and even Dr. Sebi is 100% wrong, because if you watch the video with Dr. Sebi, he said that I went on a cleanse, I was able to now drink my urine. It's not true. You don't have to go on a cleanse first because the very urine in you will start the cleanse. Okay? So be careful out there. It's a lot of misinformation about that, and I gotta keep saying it. All right? The true revolution. All right? We gave the body a bad rap, and parasites are not the cause as to why we are so engrossed in pleasures. Parasites are the end result of preceded habits and thoughts. In order for a parasite to have any significant control over the temple, the immune system had to already be compromised. We are here as a result of choices. Religions condemn the flesh, but yet it is through the flesh that we find redemption. The flesh is still spiritual, but it's more like a spirit expressing itself in a mutated state. The flesh still exists in other dimensions. The light body, higher self, descends into flesh. And as we ascend, the light body has an assignment to bring the flesh with it. God descends to become man, then man ascends to become God. All right? All right, awesome. Elvin says, I cleansed the first time when I was sick and it healed me. Talking about urine. All right. The true revolution. All right. The purpose of life is to ascend the 6 spinal centers, reinforcing the human consciousness progressively with greater and greater lights until it is able to unite with all prevailing thousand-rayed brilliance in the highest center in the brain, the cerebrum. This ascent of the consciousness through the spine, the 33rd vertebrae, 33rd Freemasons, may be achieved slowly through the right action and right thoughts. The yogi, however, chooses the quicker and more scientific method of meditation. The internal consciousness of ordinary people operates only from the lumbar, sacral, and coccygeal centers that direct all material sensory perceptions and enjoyments. The divine lovers and celestial poets are bards work from the heart center. The calm, unshaken yogi operates from the cervical center. He who can feel his presence in the entire vibratory creation, he has awakened the medullary and Christ crown centers, meridians. The illumined yogi functions in the cerebral center of cosmic consciousness. All right? Collective consciousness, he may be spoken of as an ascended yogi or master. All right? Remember, we talked about the fluid, and a lot of people are kind of hip to this, right? But they're not really hip to how to really transmutate it or how to really rise it up in at will. Now, we already spoke about the Jordan River, which is symbolic of the cerebral spinal fluid. In the cerebrum, the cerebral spinal fluid is secreted, all right? And then the Jordan River, it falls down the spinal column into the solar plexus. So that's why gravity brings a lot of your spiritual energy down to your waist area, your solar plexus, okay? That's your root chakra. And that's where most people are functioning from, all right? Your root chakra, all right? That's where, if your fluid, if you don't know how to raise it up, it will, all right? Now, it just raises up naturally, but you know what, when it's unhindered, when you breathe properly, okay? So people that are functioning deep in the root chakra are living in the third dimension, okay? Remember, we talked about life is multidimensional, but the dimensions exist in the here and now. Right in your room, there's the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension, there's all the dimensions exist there. So when you're able to go through the process of self-transformation, of being a daily meditator, of doing the solar meditations that we will teach in session 6, okay? You will be able to reawaken the dormant primordium that sits down here. And as it starts to awaken and flow up and down, permeate into all areas of the body, it will then start to transform and change the physical body. So understand, now remember, the caterpillar was the first state, right? Now, the caterpillar was more like a soil, a grounding state for a higher seed to use that organism to grow from. So understand, this physical body you have, it wasn't just meant for you to always be in it. This physical body is like a grounding soil for a higher body to be built. But the higher body, the light body, the soul body, needed a grounding point to where it could root itself and grow, okay? So that's what the physical body really is. The physical body represents earth, grounding itself, rooting itself, and then you would have the primordium, you would have the Ka body, the light body, start to make changes on the physical body, okay? So when you start to rise it up to the heart chakra, you're now living in the fourth dimension. When you function from there, you rise it up to the crown, you get to the sixth, the seventh dimension. So it's all deals with how you raise your solar body and how you allow it to make changes to the avatar. So you can't just push away the physical body from spirituality, because you got to start off with, you know, most people are trapped because they don't know how to meditate. They don't know how to just, even if you eat, you got to go times where you don't eat, or if you overdo it, you know, you go on a water fast, a blood plasma fast, whichever of your likings, okay? And you allow for the body to break it down and keep the intestinal tract clean. All right? So you could see here a conglomerate of bodies, right? The physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, the astral, the etheric, the Buddhic, the causal body. It's all one consciousness, but each vehicle gives the consciousness a different experience. Okay? That's the main thing to understand. So the true revolution. Vital nerve energy, which is prana condensed and expressed as the cellular intelligence in the human body. Just about everybody we meet has a depletion of nerve energy due to habits of overstimulation. The central nervous system is exhausted. You don't hear with your eyes, you don't hear with your ears, see with your eyes, taste with your tongue, or smell with your nose. The brain decodes these impressions. The nerve energy converts everything into a discernible stimulant. The alchemist or true spiritualist learns the methods and practices of conservation and restoration of nerve energy. The breath work, fasting, and meditation in complete darkness allows for the building up of nerve energy, which is an expression of prana as a function. Think about it. If you have visualizations and thoughts after deep meditation in darkness, the nerve energy only has your thoughts and visualizations to convert and feed on. All right, that's just kind of a manifestation science there. Now, what meditation does, solar meditation, moonlight meditation on a daily basis, is you're building a protective layer. Now, remember the chrysalis. The reason before, when the caterpillar goes into a meditative state, it builds a chrysalis, a protective layer around it, so nothing would hinder the transformation. And it's the same with you. When you go into daily solar meditation, moonlight meditation, on a daily basis, you build a protective layer so that any of these third dimensional events, such as a war, even if you live in a dangerous area, or the ghetto right around the corner, they have gunfights, there's a bunch of dangerous things that go on Earth. What this does is the meditation will build a protective layer and you access your intuition where intuitively you would know not to be in certain areas at certain times, or you would just miss the danger, okay? Because what this does is, what this is telling the higher self and even the beings that are watching us as an experiment, because there are higher beings existing out the dome, all right, that see us as an experiment and they see humanity as a product. This is why they don't come down and just stop evil or stop everything, because that would stop the experiment, okay? You have to allow humanity to make their choices. But when someone starts to awaken and connect to source energy, boom, the protective layer, the chrysalis starts to form. So this is the chrysalis of humanity. In the occult, this is what they talk about, where you could protect yourself from danger. The true gunpowder, the true power of, this is why do you think they said that no weapon formed against me shall prosper in the church? And when you bring in the Holy Ghost, you are protected, or you then start to understand the Bible. Now, people, when you start to get into meditation, if you were a religious person, and you were someone that would dance ecstatically in the church, a lot of people in the church would feel this tingling sensation all over their body. And they would say, wow, it's God, he's here. It's the Holy Ghost. He's all over me. They don't understand that is the energy that sustains them. That is the chi energy, the primordial unconditional love that seeks to transform you. Okay? So they call it the Holy Ghost, which is another name for chi energy. But where they go fucking wrong is they do not know that it's something You allow in every day from proper breathing, from understanding that it transforms you to become a God, and not to worship it, not to be subservient, but to be and to show gratitude towards it, to allow it in. Because remember, it's the light that seeks you. You don't seek the light, you know, not really. Because why? When you walk out your door, how do you seek sunlight? It's everywhere. How do you seek air or the atmosphere? Everywhere. So it seeks you. You have to allow it in. Like Jermaine say, that Qigong dance. All right? But the pastor is the false representative of this force. This is why they say in the end of times, right, or the end of the age, you will have a lot of false messengers. He's using the force for a whole different reason. He ain't telling you how you could transform it. You don't need to come to my church no more. You don't need to come here. You could do this at home. You could do this. It's user-friendly. So when you get into what I will show you in session 6 and you do it consistently every day, you will realize that the universe is user-friendly. That's the way that the Elohim, the gods that represent the higher state of the creator that created Earth, they created this illusion and cosmic game to be user-friendly for us to create our experience here. All right? So breathwork prepares yourself for the opening of other worlds and dimensions. You are sadly mistaken if you believe you can just jump ship and skip steps to immediately activating your pineal gland or spiritual powers aggressively without ever laying the foundation for meditation or breathwork. Why? Because the breathwork helps you to think clearly. It teaches you how to tame the mind, which is essentially a worker. If you skip steps on this journey, the hallucinations you see can freak you out because you have not tamed the mind, and your own projections into this mind field can cause you to be spooked. Remember, take this shit in stages. Obviously, there are some people that adjust to it more quickly, but for most, understand we are not spiritually in tune, and that world is alien to us because we have been programmed to fear it. We are children finally finding the way out of life in strict mind control. Get off your high horse. We are not woke yet. We only have information. Okay. I thought my mommy was coming to church this morning. Anyway, she just come down to ask a question. She said, she probably like, why this nigga shouting? Anyway. So the reason I bring this up is with breath work, you know, you have, be careful. See, this is why people start to go a little crazy, right? When you are someone that addicted to DMT, or they addicted to some hallucinogenic. They constantly love it. It's become an addiction to them. But they didn't really learn how to synchronize their breath deep into the body, deep into the solar plexus, deep into the sexual gonads. And they did not build that protective layer, that chrysalis around them. So they started to reactivate certain DNA strands, but they now don't have that protection, which leaves them to be much more susceptible to second order entities and demonic influences, all right, where they in a much more worse position, all right? They may have got a hit, they may have really felt the high, but they didn't do an everlasting change. So this is why this is important, family. You know, I'm not saying you could take the shrooms, you could do the DMT as an experiment, but it is not going to do anything for you in the long haul. It is the consistent daily practice, okay? That's what's important. The true revolution. Breath is the prime detoxification channel. more toxins are released through the breath than by any other means. Not only that, but when we optimize breathing function, it nourishes every cell, muscle, organ, and tissue with high oxygen value and fresher blood supplies. Lots of energy for all parts of the body and enhances the function of all other secondary detoxification channels of the liver, the skin, the colon, pancreas, spleen, etc. So you see, that's the primary detoxification channel. All of the other ones, that's secondary, man. That's secondary. So if your primary detoxification channel, if you ain't breathing properly and you around here trying to do all this other shit, you ain't gonna get the high energy that you're looking for. All right? So breath work is a mastery worthy of study. You can do the Wim Hof daily, all right? Do Botiko breath holds, look into pranayama. We do yoga, exercise, meditation, sun gazing, grounding, slowing the breath down, and breath work would be the key for diseases mitigation and body enhancement amplification as we transition to higher vibrations. And that's from Hari, one of my Facebook friends. Really, his posts be on point. So let's continue. Meditation is the most misunderstood practice in the world. The day you truly know what this word means and what it entails is actually the beginning of your journey. Oh boy, what am I saying? If you don't meditate daily, I don't give a shit if you read 1,000 occult books. You never even started the journey. Being real with you. You ain't even started. You only knew about it. You never even really started. You have a mental understanding. But this is the foundation to strengthening the energy channels. It's not fasting, okay? So when you go on a fast, but you do the solar practice and stuff, not a fast, when you don't eat for the day, but you do the solar practices, you bring in the solar energy, you're not fasting. You're bringing in nourishment, okay? There's a difference between not eating and a difference between not eating and doing the practices, okay? And to be honest with you, you even need some prerequisite understanding to even get the full gist of this practice. This is the foundation to everything you have learned dealing with the supernatural powers of the human being. It is the most important skill on earth. Do not take any type of knowledge lightly at all when it comes to the art of meditation. There is the natural, and then there's the supernatural. It's natural for us as humans to eat food, have sex, and live as intelligent animals on earth. However, the occult knowledge of man talks about transcending what is natural to the supernatural, where we cultivate and grow our light body through meditation practices and conserve and transmutate the sexual energy to become immortal gods. Our inner light or soul feeds on the cosmic forces, but we were never taught in our education system how to feed this body, the light body. Only the physical body was given attention. There is a holistic science of how to feed and cultivate the soul right here while we are on earth. This is the great work that the Freemasons talk about, all right? And just to remind y'all, remember that the spirit and the soul are two entirely different things, okay? The soul is a vehicle, it's a body, just like how it's the physical body. Just think of the soul as a body that makes changes on the physical body. So, and I can get more into that in class, but the soul is a vehicle that the higher self use to descend into matter and then to root itself on earth, okay? Once again, the only knowledge that is real is self-knowledge. Everything else fades away. Let's stop with the lies. The older you get, the stronger you are supposed to become. It is because through experience and experimentation at some point, you must develop the understanding and application on the science of how to live. We age because we do not apply self-knowledge. When you practice meditation, whether it's Qigong, Kundalini Yoga, Pranayama, etc., the tingling sensation of the Qi energy flowing through the whole body is the only true nourishment and nutrition. So all schools of thought, same meaning. In India, they call chi energy, or they call the Holy Ghost, the holy breath. India, it's called prana, and the meaning, breath considered as a life-giving force, cosmic energy believed to come from the sun. In China, as you know, they call it chi, vital energy that animates the body, animating, circulating life energy flowing through nature. Japan, it's called ki, kai, air, atmosphere, intention, and mind, intention animating the physical world. All right. Egypt, ancient Egypt and Kemet, they called it ka. Okay. The light, the electrical light body, the circuitry that exists identically and simultaneously in the third and sixth dimensions. All right. So look at that. Now, that's why the Egyptians called it the Ka body. That's what they call the soul, the light body. Okay, the soul is a tool. That's all it is. It's the spirit, the breath, because the breath is spirit. The breath, spirit, is what sends the intention to the soul, the Ka body, to transform the physical body. It's all a simultaneous relationship. We are extraterrestrial. So, extraterrestrial forces are responsible for the advancement of our technology. But does it always have to be the generic sci-fi perception of outer space aliens or interdimensional beings? Well, another perspective that hits more close to home is the idea of human beings that have fine-tuned themselves to receive messages and upgrades from the celestial higher intentions, such as Nikola Tesla for the modern-day example, who indeed was a man mainly being sustained by the light and practiced semen retention. He had no wife. Remember, eating is a form of communication. What nourishes the cell dictates to the cell the next stage of development. Most human beings are sustained mainly by terrestrial forces on gross, denser eating of dead plants and animals, giving us more of a survival, animalistic reality, because this is the instruction we gave to the body cells. However, extraterrestrial forces such as chi, cosmic energy, once nourished through daily meditation and a being that is mainly food-free or eats very little, will dictate a different instruction to the body cells, allowing extraterrestrial thoughts, solution, and inventions to take place. We can become extraterrestrials living in the same vessel. Okay? So remember, what this class is dedicated to is a lot of people get into, oh, well, we were gods back in the day and we built civilization, we built pyramids, we did the greatest things on earth. But we need to get more into how did the ancestors get to that frame of mind into receiving the solar transmissions to invent that invention, to create that technology. Remember now, technology comes from these solar transmissions given to us by the gods, okay, by our higher selves and our ancestors, okay, the energy masters, all right? So anyone that is fine-tuned enough, this is how you able to receive a transmission. You could be in nature. How the hell would you know how to create a computer chip? Think about that. To get the necessary resources and elements to get fire and to mold down that rock or that diamond into something to create a particular technology that would make life more conducive and easier for the collective, so that they're not just doing a slave to earthly what's the word I'm looking for? To earthly behavior, right? Where you just got to go and hunt. You got to go do all these things, where technology allows you to it's supposed to allow you to go more inwardly, so you don't have to do all these to work so hard, right? So this is how we receive the inventions from the soul. And again, they come from the solar transmissions and are impressed upon us. And we be like, much like a receiver. Your DNA is a transmitter, and you start to pick up and receive on these messages in the Akashic records, okay? Because in the atmosphere is the library of all experiences and solutions to all problems, all right? We are extraterrestrial. The light body, extraterrestrial, physical body, terrestrial. Man cannot live by bread alone. That's Jesus, that Jesus meant when he said that was just, you can't just be on no dead plants and dead animals on gross material. That will not sustain you. You got to know and interface with the more subtle forces, okay? That's why man cannot live by bread alone. The real you is the light body. The light in you wants to improve and is not from here. It wants to stay here, but it needs to grow as it is a baby, just like the physical body came here as a baby. Remember, source energy is an embryo. God is an embryo, a seed. It is man that grows and cultivates the energy through practice. So God, again, represents potential, okay? A potential idea, a potential concept, all right? That's what God represents. Man represents that same concept or idea, potential, being actualized, being experienced, and becoming that idea and thought. Okay? So that's why the higher self, the subtle part of you, used a vehicle called the car, the light body, to come down, to descend down. So you already came with a chrysalis, with a layer to an extent, but you need to build on it. So you came into that vehicle, and within that vehicle, you came within the physical body. So there's a vehicle within the vehicle. All right? We are extraterrestrial. These two bodies, the light body and physical body, these bodies exist simultaneously and identically. They are both one. However, it is us that are not making them one. There's a fight going on in a temple on who has dominance. The physical body has been winning for aeons of time. Death is when the light body leaves and goes back home. They must join together. The marriage of the Lamb, Lord Shiva and Lady Shakti, the divine marriage. A divorce took place with spirit and matter. So spirit and matter, okay, that's what the marriage of the Lamb represents in the Bible. And Lord Shiva being the masculine, Lady Shakti being the anything that's physical, the feminine. And the fluid in you always wants to rise back to the brain where it came from. For she always wants to go back to her husband. You see? So again, you have a body that you must learn to feed, okay? And that's where, and it comes from, the primordium is fed through solar light. So male and female energies must come together. Male is the non-physical cosmic forces. Female is the receptive force, all that is physical. Cosmic energies, the male, the L, right, is raining down on Earth every second, replenishing Mother Earth. All of us are female receptive to these cosmic forces. Now, remember when I said the Buddha belly represents a pregnancy that goes on within you, but because we break the loop, we do spiritual abortion. You see? So even a man is still a female to these forces, okay? We are still receptive to these forces raining down on Earth. I should have used a flat disk instead of this stupid shit that NASA have up here. So anyway, we must surrender and allow this transformation to take place. Allow the light body to rule over the physical body or fully manifest into the physical. The ancient Kemetic masters called the light body the Ka body. The Ka body is the vehicle in which the higher self descends into matter, in which the higher self and the body together ascend into the upper dimensions. A descension preceded the ascension. Only through meditation does the ascension ever take place. It is the assignment of the spark within the light body to ascend in this lifetime but not to leave the physical body behind. The ka body is the vehicle to graduate from the human condition, to transcend the thought process of food, shelters, and sex as an animal, animation. Old Testament, old body and mind, into the New Testament, new body and mind. As in heaven, thy will be done on earth. We are these cosmic forces, self-realized. The subtle forces desire to become conscious of themselves inside a vessel, to come to know itself in different degrees and reflections. Okay? In other words, you are trying to fit more of you into a vehicle, and only a small portion of you has been reincarnating. So because you keep breaking the loop, and because of this trauma passed on in a genetic line, the only 1/3 of your soul, or 1/5 of your soul, actually incarnates. And the goal of, which is the great work, all right, in masonry, is to bring in more light, to close that loop, to retain your sexual fluids, and to go and to practice on daily meditation, day in, day out. You still can live now, you just set times when you're going to do it, you know? And what you're doing is you're bringing more of you, more of the higher parts of you into a vessel, and then it starts to change the vessel, create energy channels like I showed in the last class, create veins, newer energy channels where it could hold more light. And now you could actually build on a vessel over and over, you know what I mean? It'll be reconstructed. And imagine being able to hold on to a vessel and perfect it for thousands of years. This is when you could then grow, and you actually would hold in more of that light, that cosmic energy, to where you could manipulate matter, to where you could build planetary systems. You could probably go and work with the higher beings, become a geneticist. You could, you really start to build on the geniosity within you, even to the point where it will seem, let me tell you something, you are so vast and so great that a lot of the things I'll say to you right now would be very hard to believe that you could actually even grow to that point. But the problem is, you waste your resources. You waste it away. You already given everything. You just got to learn how to hold it. And it's like something what Dwayne told me the other day. It ain't about how much money you have, it's how much money you keep. And it's the same with spiritual energy. It ain't about how much you cultivate, it's how much you keep. All right? So what I mean about when I say we are these cosmic forces, self-realized, the air, when it's breathed in to the vessel, it becomes self-realized. I am me. I am. And it has a goal, it has an experience it wants. So the air, which is spirit, which is life, which is God, which is everything, okay? The primordial substance is in it. It's an intelligence in there. And when the intelligence is breathed into a vessel, it becomes self-realized. You are that cosmic force, self-realized. All right? You see? Well, air is, trust me, air is fractals of light, man. It's not just air. God is everything. But I'm saying that from the dark star, from the central sun, the suns, the constellations, it's not, I don't want to, when you say God is air, that really doesn't sound, I don't like that question, because we haven't been taught on what the atmosphere actually is, and that it's the real animating life force within it that animates all living matter. All matter is animated from subtle forces, okay? Which is an intention. So it's an intention animating force. Like when I go back here to these right here, that's what the Japanese call it. The Kai, air, atmosphere, intention, and mind. Intention animating the physical world, all right? So let's get it. Now, right, Hanson. All is inside us when we are Christ consciousness is at its level. It's in us, but we have very little of it. All right. The goal is to bring in more of it and more of it and more of it, and then you get into that Christ consciousness. But the thing is, Christ consciousness is not really a destination because it's an eternal path, meaning you constantly bring in more, and then you start to see as an experiment what you can do with it inside a suitable vessel. And then you get to the point where there's other beings that will step to you. Okay? They'll step to you, and then you will be given more, what's the word I'm looking for? Instruction, or more purpose, in a sense, beyond Earth. Because there is a galactic confederation that exists that deal with managing planetary systems and human DNA, and it's just fascinating. You know, I can't really talk about these levels too much, just out there. That's why I kind of using this platform, because you guys kind of, you know, enrolled, and I just could say a lot of the things that a lot of people, the first thing they'll say is, well, where's the proof? You know, and that's something like, okay, well, yeah, if you can't activate your pineal gland, and if this can't hit home into your light, it may not be the right time for you, you know? So anyway, diets and therapies are only a tool, okay? Tools to repair the physical body, to help. Urine therapy, herbs, you know, remember the physical body from abuse, certain processes in it become dormant and it can't create the minerals, it can't hold on to the light, you keep slipping on the wet dream, pushing it out, and it's so depleted where the soul can't make the changes on it because the body is so abused, and it has these self-serving cells that take away the fluid, that eats up the soul. So the reason now I have urine therapy on top now, urine therapy, wild herbs, even fruitarianism, raw veganism, distilled water, but these are all temporary, right? Now, urine is, to me, the top. These protocols are just therapies that help the body to rebuild itself to be once again self-sufficient, sustained by the cosmic forces raining down on Earth. Once the body is repaired, through meditation especially, all these substances become toxins and no longer needed. You are eating light to have a better meditation, to be in contact with the true you. So you eating, and that's what monks will tell you, and yogis, they went through the process that they would eat in order to have a better meditation. All right, they didn't want to, you know, eat something too heavy before they went into a deep meditative state, because obviously not all yogis just became or wanted to just not eat forever. This class ain't even about that. But see, the journey is it isn't about not eating. It's just about strengthening your energy channels and committing to the practice and living your life purpose. I can't tell you what that is, but your intuition could guide you to that. All right? So don't make a therapy your God. Don't become a fruitarian and because, oh, well, the fruits healed me. The fruits didn't heal you. It was just you ate lighter. That's all it was. And the fruits had their own enzymes, and the enzymes in the apple help to digest the food. But after a while, fiber ain't useful. It just can expel it out. Okay, it just can kind of be a thing that you're not gonna need it. You see, it's not gonna serve your purpose anymore. And then for a lot of people that fell in love with fruitarianism and they love the fruits because it healed it, because you know, they did feel a big benefit. 10, 15, 20 years later, maybe even less or more, their teeth started to drop out. You see, their teeth started to drop out because they wasn't brushing their teeth. Oh, well, that's a ritual, brushing teeth, whatever, right? I'm not saying you have to like that, but you letting all that sugar sit on your gums for years, and it starts to eat away at the gums. You see, because they believe the fruit sustained them. You see? Yeah. Yeah, this is recorded, Sam. You know. So yeah, oh, Christine, for years I've seen my ancestors watching me through a TV screen. Yeah, it's true. It is true. This is an experiment. And they have different solar beings in different planetary systems. And they'll seed them on these planetary systems in order to grow and be a unique expression that grew out of that challenge. Okay? Because obviously, out of the whole collective, we're looking to see who can actually allow the transformation to take place. And then you could actually be like in Star Wars, you could actually be a suitable representative of that matter, of that planetary world, of that dome-shaped disc, whatever the hell it is, planet or whatever, I don't know. Okay? Tucker, you on point, brother. Seems like the Bible says these things, but in a different way. They saying it, you know. But it's just bringing it all together. See, the Vatican and the beings that look to enslave you. See, religion isn't really a lie, you know. Religion is an altered truth. That's what it is. You see, it's not a lie, because you can't lie to solar beings because we have the truth within us. So you have to alter the truth. You could mix a little bit of deception in there, but it's altered truth. Okay? Dominic say it's encrypted. Right. Yes, the church is watered down bullshit. And then you realize, when you get really deep, you realize, wow, that bullshit had some real shit. But it's watered down. All right. That's why you think they say don't have sex before marriage. Don't, because that's a sacred energy you hold with you. So, and it isn't so much a commandment. It's like if you read the conversation with God, God says that being that spoke to that man said that it's a commitment, not a commandment. This is a commitment that you could make. You don't have to make the commitment. Okay. And remember, what did God say about the rainbow? What is the rainbow? God's promise. Doesn't the rainbow emit out the same thing they tell you that the chakras emit out? The chakras resonate a color. Doesn't that look like a rainbow? Isn't that what promise is that? That's a promise from the gods that, look, if you want to transcend beyond this experience, we got you. You could come back home. You could always come back home, my child. Just do the right things. So now let's get into the greatest truth. But the revolution will not be televised. Remember, we talked about Kirlian photography and that why it is good to eat raw. It's better because raw has more life force energy, chi energy, enzymes, okay? And we said that cancer cells, demonic cells, don't have a lot of biophotonic energy. They don't have enzymes, so they can't create the minerals. They can't be sustained, all right? So you first got to conquer these cells or allow them to die off and be replaced. Now, the enzymes in the apple, when you ingest the apple, it's the enzymes that digest the apple, so your body doesn't have to give up too much of its life force to digest it. Now, family, what if you live in an area where there ain't no organic food? What if you live in the pork and beans in the gutter, right? Or like, what if you live even here in Freeport? After the hurricane, ain't much fruits like that around the place. And all of the fruits are shipped from Mexico or Chile, pumped with chemicals, and they've been forced ripened. So they wasn't even ripened on the vine. So ain't a lot of biophotonic energy in the fruits. When you go in the store, it ain't the same. What can you do? Well, guess what? This is where meditation comes in. Instead of looking to get it from food, you could look to get it from solar meditation, breath work. What am I saying? This Kirlian photography shows the life force energy in an apple, which is why it's better to eat raw. But I realize if we are only eating for life force, why not just get rid of the middleman and tap into it directly with Qigong? I realize that believing that an apple will sustain us still gives us a middleman between God, life force. It's like believing in Jesus Christ all over again. From meditation, I learned to cut the middleman out on many other levels. So if you believe that the fruit and apple sustains you, that's like you believing in Jesus Christ again, man. You believe, oh, only through Jesus is the way. Or someone, oh, you got to eat this for minerals and vitamins and all that. But you don't even know what vitamins and minerals is. You're only going based on what someone really told you. You see, you don't really know what that is. So if you're only eating for chi energy and life force, why not just forget the middleman and don't stress about, you know what I mean? Okay, I can't find good fruit. Do it. Get into the practice. You see? And look, Christine, who's a fruitarian right now, she says, yes, it actually feels like that. I love fruit, but it lowers my frequency. At the same time, I had to be that light to feel the difference. The fruit ain't the same. But all forms of eating, when you start to get lighter and lighter, because remember, healthy eating is a paradox and kind of a misnomer. There's only heavy eating and light eating. All right? And hence, lighter. You eating light, right? You eating light, you eating less. So, to really feel that high energy level, why you just don't go to where the fruits get it from? Because fruit is just secondary sunlight. That's all it is. All you doing is you extracting the enzymes and chi energy from the fruit, and they get it from the sun. So what am I saying? You learn how to eat truly from meditation. This is why this shit's so important. Why you think I'm not a foodist? When I say, oh, well, I mean, I'm going through the process now where fruitarianism is a tool so that you do the practice at not at too much of a quick pace, okay? Because the problem is you got to do this in the stages as nature moves slow. Fruitarianism or eating or drinking fresh juices is the best complementary diet to transition to it, but it's not somewhere you stay. All right? And I even give Christine full respect for that because I ain't even a full fruitarian. And that's something that I want to gonna do, but I can mainly do it when I could get with farmers and stuff, or at least get fake organic shit. We barely even have fake organic shit in Freeport. But it's not about the food itself. It's about the practice. It's about the discipline. All right? Because you don't want to speed this up, you know? And the reason people get too skinny when they like try to become breatharian or go on a fast, because they don't know how to nourish themselves from the sun or from meditation or from the moon or nothing like that. They believe in fasting. I don't believe in fasting. Fasting is temporary. When you meditating and doing the solar meditation, you're not fasting. You're strengthening the energy channels and you're bringing in food. Now, doesn't that make sense? All right? So don't fast. Instead, when you don't eat, do the cultivation and you will always eat. There's no such thing as not eating. You always have to eat something. You can't switch from one nourishment and then cut off that and not have another type of nourishment. All right? That's why people who tried to move into this died. You see? And don't try to force this. All right? Because Christine at that level where she could be a fruitarian, if you someone that enjoy eating with your family, enjoy it. Just do the meditation. Do it. And guess what? On daily ritual, daily practice, as years go by, Years. I say years. I don't want to say months because people like instant gratification. This is not no instant gratification shit. All right. Every day for years. It will gradually change you. Certain things you will drop naturally. Okay? So remember, when I said I went out with my cousin, I was at the bar. I didn't really drink. You know, I got like a club soda. I don't really feeling drinking lately. And he asked me, you know, well, why is it bad? Or, you know, you trying to not, you know, harm the, I said, no, it ain't that. I just have no desire to do it. See, it's completely different. Once again, when you stop something and you bring resistance to it, knowing you love that shit, you know you love it. Because what you resist persists. Don't try to force this shit. Just like you trying to become celibate and you love to have sex. Come on, man. Just learn how to have sex better. Tantric. Try to perfect that. But, so what I'm saying is, people, this is why the elderly usually are the ones that are able to become breatharian and live off the light. Because they already been there and done that. They don't have a desire to do none of that shit no more. It don't serve a purpose. So when you see someone that don't live, that ain't eating or drinking, they ain't stopping themselves from pleasures. They just been there and done that. They don't have the desire no more, and they were steady on the practice. All right? So allow the light to give you the desire. The desire ain't gonna come from the creature, from the animal. The animal don't care about none of the shit I saying. He only care about a life of comfort. Sex, food, shelter, repeat. Sex, food, shelter, repeat. Money, all that. The animal care about all that shit. The light don't care about money, don't care about none of that. All right? The light only cares about evolution, progression to source, and to be able to create. All right? It wants to create, bring ideas to flourish here. All right? Greatest truth. So this force is what has been keeping you alive. If it is ultimately proven that when we cook food, we destroy the vital life force, enzymes, minerals, and vitamins within it, and yet most, if not all of our lives, we have eaten only cooked food, then it is safe to say that we are not alive because of food. We are alive because of the adaptive measures of our own bodies. It is the creative principle of adaptation that has kept us alive from birth. The body perfectly knew how to sacrifice its own minerals and life force to digest the shit we decided to eat. If everything you ate from birth has been dead, then you need to actually pay attention to what has been keeping you alive. Nerve force, the active innate intelligence, right? Notice, family, that the only time you truly feel energized is after sleep. Cooked food, no food you ate growing up has ever given you energy. Sleep is unconscious meditation. So, yo, you already sleeping. You already meditating. Now, if food really gave you energy, you could have ate till the cows come home and have no need to go to sleep. But if you ate for 3 to 4 days without sleeping, you would be a walking fucking zombie. Walking around the place. Just a walking zombie. Half alive. Barely alive. So sleep is what kept you awake. You already meditate. It's just you eat yourself into a coma, and then the body's like, oh shit, well, he don't know. He don't know what he's doing. So we got to knock out the conscious mind. And we got to force you from the goodness of the creator's heart. We got to knock out your incorrect thinking and sinful life and put you into a coma to harness chi energy. This is why the only time you energize is after a good night's sleep, not from eating, never from eating. It will never happen. Again, the only illusion you could have from when food would give you energy is when it's like a medicine. When you already compromised and filled with a bunch of poisons and you use a herb or fruit that have fiber, and the fiber helps to sweep out the shit out your colon. And then you feel the energy and you say, oh, the fruit gave me that energy. It wasn't the fruit that gave you that energy. The fruit was a tool, okay, that helped the body to do its own work. Understand that, all right? And fiber is useless. It's only useful if you have a bunch of crap in your intestines and the fiber is like a broom that sweeps it out. Okay, even water is useless to an extent, you know, but there still are, you know what I mean? Like if a breatharian is traveling and there's chemtrails sprayed around the place, they may drink some water and use it as a solvent to absorb some of the toxins out. He's not drinking it because he's thirsty. He may use it. So it is a tool at times, but water is a toxin. H2O is a toxin. All right. It's only useful because we keep eating and having excess mucus and excess debris in the body. So we have to keep drinking it. That's why, again, like I said in a previous class, that anyone with excess poisons and excess mucus in the body, that thirst feeling is the cells wanting excess water to wash out the mucus so they could use it as a solvent. You see? Yes, Jermaine, it's possible to barely not need much sleep. And that's when you step into deep meditation and you get better at the practice over years and years, because again, it's a gradual thing. It's just a daily commitment. And that's what yoga is, daily ritual, okay? You already simulating sleep anyway. You already bringing in enough chi energies. And the problem is, family, if you only get chi energy from sleep, you have very little of it. You don't have a lot of it because you're only getting it unconsciously. And that's how the elites want you to stay. They want you to stay in a state of consciousness where you have just enough to get up and work, just enough to do the little mundane things they want you to do, but not enough to transform yourself to not be a fucking slave. Okay? Because they know it's what sustains you. You can't live without it. So what did they do? They gave us culprits, fruit, meat, a food, a construct, a cult-like thinking, so you could have an idea that that's what sustains you. And that's what Satan does. That's what Satan is, self-deception, which is the self-deception is the misconstrued representation of ideas and thoughts. Okay? So it's the misinterpretation of ideas and thoughts. Okay? So they put us into this cult through the English language, and they gave us an imposter that sustained us, and it was actually Judas. Judas represents the secondary sources. Man cannot live by bread alone. Judas represents the addiction to the physical plane that we believe sustain us and we thought was our friends. All right? And Jesus represents the part, the higher self, the forces that sustain us. This is why Judas will always betray you. Okay? Let's continue. So you already do the meditation, but now you got to do it consciously. And you don't sleep in the sun, obviously. You don't sleep outside. You sleep inside. So you want to simulate that, okay, in the solar, with the sun. You want to simulate that at night. But we get into that into session 6, all right? So what has been keeping you alive? Sleep is when you channel chi energy unconsciously. However, if you only channel chi in sleep, then you have very little of it. This is why you can wake up still, very tired, struggling to get out of the bed. You are depleted of nerve energy, and you do not get this from food. It is from primarily the breath and the sun. The neophyte must learn to breathe properly into the dantian or solar plexus. Notice they give that name solar plexus. That's where the solar energy is stored. This is called abdominal breathing. Too much human beings are shallow breathers. The number one skill to overcome fatigue is through proper breathing and meditation practices, not food. But you could still eat your way to eating more light, okay, to complement the practices. But if you're someone that still loves to eat your diet, look, man, why do you think the church says, come as you are? You loved regardless. You've been going to sleep and the chi energy been sustaining you, and it already sustains you. You just want to get better at managing the skill of bringing it in. That's all it is. The church say, come as you are, so if you eat meat, I ain't trying to put you on no guilt trip. Just don't stop progressing. And as you work with the light, eventually, naturally, you'll be like, why the fuck I even eating this meat like that? So I want the desire to come from the light. I don't want it to come from you because I don't trust you. I trust the higher you, which is the real you. All right? So the necessity of yoga, asanas, and meditation, I don't do these every day because I do my practice in Qigong, but I do it 2 to 3 times a week. Yoga and meditation is a necessity. Stretching and doing asanas first thing in the morning, get that energy flowing. And I think I did put in the 15 natural, the 15 basic yoga stretches in the group. I'll re-put it in, all right, in case you guys didn't see it. This is the main problem with us collectively as a god animal species. The internal river is obstructed. A world of unobstructed people becomes heaven. When we change the atoms of our bodies, we change the nature of all reality. Our experience in matter is only a reflection of how well we know ourselves and how well we manage our energy systems, chi flow. So these asanas do help. This warrior pose, all right? You see I do this pose here. Do that. You know, these help with just helping the circulation in the body. Hence circuitry, circulation. Now, what would be good here is when you get into mental fasting, right? Physical fasting is quite easy, where you simply abstain from food for the day. However, one comes to understand that the true fast is a mental fast, where you abstain from any mental stimulation such as reading, scrolling through social media, watching Netflix or YouTube videos, talking. The hygienic fast is one of mental abstinence and pure meditation, a day dedicated to collecting cosmic energy and nothing else. This is a difficult one. However, this practice is the foundation to an aspiring occultist or spiritualist. Great for also a full moon ritual. All right. Now, remember when I said I did make a post online that I'm not the teacher, I'm not the true teacher, but I am the messenger pointing you to the real teacher within. And this right here gauges you into the true teacher. If you want to know, where do I need to be in life as a man, or what's my purpose? All of that is already encoded and encrypted within you. You came here knowing that, okay? You came here knowing that already. It's just you kind of had a lot of distractions, and the cells were also distracted from digestion because, you know, the cells are overworked. Your mind is overworked. You in worry, you in stress. You either, you know, you have some addiction. You may not have had a good relationship with your parents. It was just a lot of things that override that voice. And that's the main thing that they did. They wanted to stop you from listening to the true teachers. You see? Exactly, Christine. Conserving energy should have been church Sundays. Yeah, the day of rest. That's what they mean. You have to have a day of rest, but people think rest is just when you don't physically do something. Rest, remember, what's physical is always mental. You could have a mind, your mind could exhaust you. You could have thoughts that could stress you out, now to take energy away. All right? So even reading is in a sense, you're still reading someone else's experience, but we're trying to gauge you in to not living in a vicarious experience where it's a second-hand experience. We're trying to bring you more into the first-hand experience, which is true life, true spirituality. What I'm saying is, you are the Adam and Eve. You are Adam and Eve. You are the first. That's how you got to look at it, because it's your own energy. No one could tell you what you experiencing, and it's your first time experiencing it. If it's your first time experiencing it, then it's your Adam and Eve first experience. Okay? You can't go and live based off someone else's experience. But that's what they want you to do. That's why they create our heroes and create our sages and gurus. because they want you to look up to them. Like this knowledge is just secluded to a select few up in the Himalayan mountains, which is not true. All right? And don't give me that bullshit, but I live in the city. I'm going to wait till I move to nature. You will never change, man. You will always find some sorry ass excuse. All right? Oh, I eat meat. You know, that's why I don't. Well, I'm going to wait until. So cut the bullshit, man. Cut that shit. All right? Either you can do it or you ain't going to do it. But don't come around me talking that mess. Okay? It's time to hold you accountable. That's what it is. This ain't about being perfection, but get into the practices. There's parks in the city. Go to a park. Go sit next to a tree. Go on your balcony. You will still feel the chi energy there. Shit, you went to sleep and harness it anyway inside your apartment. So don't come with that. Don't come with that. All right? Nature is everywhere. You think when an ant farm is building a city that they don't see that as nature? When a beehive built by your house, they don't think they're still in nature. When a wasp net is being built, they don't see it as nature. The rose that grew from the concrete, like what Tupac talked about, you think that rose didn't think it was in nature? What makes you think you could be outside nature? You think we built some concrete jungle and I could understand that there's areas that are more conducive to the practices. That's true, but you're not outside nature. So again, you could come to me with that excuse, but you ain't coming to me or anyone. You lying to yourself because you don't want to do it and you don't believe in yourself. That's why. All right. The greatest skill on earth. And as said, the ultimate purpose of my university is to attempt to transcribe the process of spiritualizing the human body, to break down the difference between the germ cells and somatic cells, and what true meditation does once done consistently. Transmutates a somatic animal cell gradually to a God self-sustaining cell by harnessing chi energy consciously. All right? And once again, Hotep, thank you, family. I am humbled that the universe conspired in this moment for me to be able to present to you the greatest story never told. We are amazing beings with unlimited potential. Always strive for greatness and never stay stagnant. Remember, it's okay to not be perfect, but it's not okay to stop striving for perfection. I love each and every one of you. This is not the end, only the beginning of the journey. Okay? And as we say, few quotes. And Christine, were you in the beginning? I added something to this class. Were you in the beginning when I talk about the immortal jellyfish? All right. If not, I'm gonna bring that. I'm gonna go back, bring that up again, just so you could see it. So once again, you don't try to build a wall. You don't set out to build a wall. You don't say I'm going to build the biggest, baddest wall that's ever been built. You say I'm gonna lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid, and you do that every single day, and soon you have a wall. It's difficult to take this first step when you look at how big the task is. The task is never huge to me. It's always one brick, by Will Smith. Again, what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. All right. Then, a good saying, one of my favorite sayings, may all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way to that happiness, to that freedom for all. Hotep, much love, family. And let me just show you here. I just wanted to kind of show everyone in nature, there is an organism in the animal kingdom, a jellyfish that knows how to control its sex cells, you see, which is interesting. And you could see scientists have discovered a jellyfish which can live forever. The Teratopsis dorenhai is officially known as the only immortal creature. And look at what it says. The secret to eternal life, as it turns out, is not just living a really, really long time. It's all about maturity, or rather the lack of it. The immortal jellyfish propagate and then faced with the normal career of path of dying they opt instead to revert to a sexually immature stage. Now, it's in the recording, right? But you could see here, this organism here, the Teratopsis, can at will revert back into the planula and regrow itself. It's asexual. If there's any danger, it controls its transformation at will, and it just regenerates over and over. And they say that the only way it could die is if it get eaten. All right? And remember, we talked about how the germ cell is immortal. So I just showing that there is something out there that exists that can do this. What makes you think us being the most highest pristine creation can't do this? And that's what the occult talks about. The occult talks about how man can do this in another way. Obviously, we ain't gonna revert back to a baby, right? But man can do this asexually and recreate a new body in him with the soul, the Ka body, the primordium. Okay? So that's interesting to show there. So anyway, I'm open to any questions, just in case there's any questions. You know, yeah, that's to prove, you know, kind of. Oh, well, prove to me. Well, that's a jellyfish. That ain't, you know, that's why, again, I appreciate y'all, because you do have to have an open mind and have some type of prerequisite understanding to even like start this class, you know, to even really kind of appreciate the class. So, you know, but any questions? If not, I'm going to close out. And yep, I did make sure it was recording. All right. Yes, next week is another PowerPoint, by the way. But it is the practices. I just start off with a few more things. Let me see. Do I have session 6 on here? Right here. So we do get into the practices. I show you, you know, how to apply it, where to start. But this is the next class, session 6, cultivating the inner light, preparing for the cosmic currents emanating from the dark star. All right, it's going to be really exciting. All right. So I guess, yeah, let's just wait until next week. Hopefully all you guys can make it. Much love. I'm going to stop the recording.